Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Age of Wonders 3 by Triumph Studios. And you might be asking, Marcus, this game is about 3 years old. Why are you doing a series on this? Well, let me explain. I've had this idea for a while now that I wanted to do a turn-based strategy fantasy game where the audience gets to participate in the decisions that we make as a fledgling empire. And so I was looking for a game that would offer a unique set of choices that the people in the comments can take to further our empire. So let's think of it in terms of like a council of nobles comprised of those of you who are watching and those of you who are commenting in the channel thread as to the choices that we're going to make, the steps we're going to take, the direction we're going to build our empire in. Because I've been thinking a lot about how when we play these games, these strategy games, we always know that we're playing a game, and we treat them in that way. So, for example, we might sack a town or let an army get destroyed or leave a city of ours undefended because it's an acceptable loss. It makes sense within the context of the game. But imagine if you were the people living in that city or one of the troops fighting in that army. Maybe you'd make a different decision. And so I'm going to try to play this game in a role-play aspect where we're focused on what would we really do if we were in this situation. And I'll go into more details as to what that situation is in a minute. But I do want to say that I am playing Age of Wonders 3 with all of the official DLC in addition to 3 mods. And the 3 mods that I'm using are the Racial Class Variety Reskin mod. And to quickly explain what that mod does is whatever hero type you decide to lead your nation, they have special units. And they can recruit those special units for any race. And what this mod does is it takes those special units and it differentiates them between all the different races so they look really different, essentially. I'm also using the Triumphant Heroes mod, and that simply adds a bunch more new customized heroes to the game. And finally, I'm using the Empire Building mod, and the purpose of that mod is better city specialization. So it allows you to focus certain cities on certain things. You can have one city that's focused on research, one that's focused on troop production, and certain choices you make and certain buildings you build are now more difficult or less difficult to build depending on the scenario. So it basically just adds a little bit more role play to the game, which is what I'm really trying to do here and what I'm really excited about. So let's get started. We're going to play on a random map. And I'm going with Lord difficulty. It's not the most difficult, but it's not the least difficult. I think it's relatively nice. We're going with the map size large. I was considering extra large, but they kind of warn you that that might take a really long time, and I don't want this to be like a 100-episode series. I just want it to be kind of a short and fun thing, so we're going to go with large instead. It still might be long, but we'll give it a try. Now, the map type I had a lot of thought about because I normally like to play on land map types, which covers the whole playing area with land, and it allows for more space, it allows for more expansion, it allows for easy AI pathing and things of that nature. But I tried a couple test games with continents, and I think it really flows well with what we're trying to do here because we're going to have to obviously take control of our home continent first, one way or another, and then we'll be sending off ships to explore other continents. And so it adds a little bit more to the exploration and the roleplay of the game, which I think is fun. And finally, for the game flow, we're going to go with empire building. What that means is that we start with simply a leader, a small army, and a settler where we can found our initial city wherever we'd like to. There will be no pre-existing neutral cities in the game. So all cities that we come across will either build ourselves or the AI nations will build themselves. So that's how that's going to work. We are going to play with 8 players, which is the highest you can do. As far as advanced settings, I'm keeping everything pretty much on average. But I did change up the geography a bit. I tried to make it a little bit more like our world. So a little bit more plains, a little bit less wetlands and barren, a moderate amount of forests, mountains, water, and diggable walls, and then a little bit more undiggable walls, because I just figure it makes the underground a bit more fun if there's a little bit more restriction. And a majority of the area is temperate with a smaller amount of different temperature zones. Again, just like a real world. All right, I went with Allied Victory. I'm not going to go with Seals or Unifier Victory because I don't really even know what they mean. But I'm not concerned about victory. That's not the point of this. We're not trying to win necessarily. We're just, again, we're role-playing this nation. We're going to make decisions for them based on what I and what you in the comments think are the best thing for them to do. And if that leads to defeat, so be it. But I want it to be kind of a fun adventure where we really get into the minds of these people and try to make decisions as they would make them. And sometimes they're going to be good decisions and sometimes they're going to be bad decisions. So we're not min-maxing a bunch of ones and zeros and trying to win a game here. We're expanding and living a living, breathing, fantasy-esque nation in this new world that we're creating, and we're going to see how that goes. Okay, cool. Well, this guy looks very cool, but no, we're not going to go with him. We're going to go with our custom leader, who I made just for this, Frigoberto of Aurelia. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Frigoberto. Frigoberto is a human, and you might think, Marcus, with all these wonderful, fantastic races, why would you choose humans? Well, for one thing, no one does. But for the second thing, the whole point of this exercise is for us to put ourselves into the minds of these characters and make choices for them. So what better way to do that than to make them essentially us, right? We're all human, I hope, watching this and participating, and so these people are our avatars, and so we have to see the world through their eyes. And it's obviously a lot more difficult to see the world through the eyes of an elf than it would be to see the world through the eyes of a human, which is what we are. And for the same reason, I chose Warlord as his class type, because all the other class types are kind of fantastical. They don't really exist in our modern world. Like, we don't have people that can go around summoning angels. But throughout the history of our world, we did have warlords. We did have leaders who were gifted with charisma and strength and were able to lead tribes of people to victory or death. And that's what Frigoberto is, which is why I chose him as a human warlord. Now, how we're going to play this is we are going to assume that Frigoberto and his people are from our world, from Earth. Now, let's say this is the ancient times, sometime around the Roman Empire period or whatnot, and this is a independent tribe, maybe Germanic warriors, who knows? And they, let's say, were migrating away from their ancestral homelands because they were threatened by other tribes, and they accidentally stumble through some kind of portal, and they end up in this fantastical world that they know nothing about, that is so similar to their own world, but also quite different. And we're going to play them as they embrace this new world and try to found a home for themselves as they experience all these new things like magic and different creatures that they have no experience with before. Where I kind of got the idea for this scenario is an episode of the show Stargate Atlantis. And in that show, these humans from Earth, they are living in this alien space station thing. And they find this room where there's this video game that they're playing. And it's a war video game. And so they're each controlling these two nations, and they're fighting against each other. And one of them spending all their points on research, and the other spending their points on military matters. And they find out later in the episode that they're not actually playing a game at all. That they are really dictating the lives of real human beings who are living on this planet somewhere far off. And they have to kind of face the realization that people died and lives were ruined because of what they were doing. And so I want to kind of play this game with that notion in mind. Like, these are real people that we are leading, and we have to think about it in those terms. We have to really get down in the dirt with them and make decisions as they would make them. And I hope it works out. I think it's going to be really fun, but we'll see. We shall see. So, just quick ideas. Humans like fertile plains. They dislike the underground. They really don't like blighted or volcanic landscapes, but they're flexible. And that's what's really cool about this, is we could choose to be good. We could choose to be evil. We could choose to be defensive. We could choose to be expansionistic. We can try to trade, or we could try to build alliances, or we could try to conquer and drive everyone before us. We could form a multiracial democracy or federation of many different types of people in our empire, or we could enslave or exterminate anyone that isn't human like us. It's completely up to us, and how we do this is going to be based again on what you all think in the comments. I'm going to try to stop each episode with a big question and maybe some little questions, and I'll let you have at in the comments to determine what we're going to do with it. All right, well, the first thing we need to do, however, is we have to quickly locate a suitable place to found our initial city. And one thing we would really like is nearby buildings that promote production, growth, and money. So let's see if we can find some of those things right off the bat that will help building our initial city. Help in building our initial city. Frigoberto of Aurelia, your rise to power begins. All right. Well, first things first, a hero offers to join. This is Anya, the City Feller, a level 1 dreadnought. All right, well, one of the things I did, I don't know if it necessarily showed this in the settings, but I made it so that all of our heroes, at least initially within reason, are going to be human. Because it doesn't make sense that a bunch of humans came through to this world and suddenly a dwarf or elf hero shows up and says, hey, I want to fight for you. That doesn't make any sense. So we're going to assume right now that all that we know are humans, and so let's just say that Anya is one of our countrymen who came with us through the portal. And even though Dreadnought's kind of odd because that's a class that doesn't really exist in our world, let's just say that she's a blacksmith or something, and so she has some skill with metal and forming things, and she's smart and has good ideas, and let's see where we develop that. And already now we're faced with kind of a choice, because maybe Anya doesn't want to take the nation in the same direction as Frigoberto. Maybe Frigoberto wants to focus on defense and solidifying our borders, and Anya's more about research and trying to explore new avenues of technology or magic. Who knows? These are all things that we can determine. But right now we have to scout around and see what we got. We're starting next to a gold mine, which is great. That'll give us some money. And also we have a mana node and a mana node. So not so good. Not so good as of yet. I mean, we don't even know what mana is. We're humans from Earth, and we might have had shamans or priests, but we don't really understand the notion of mana. But we have found these strange blue crystals that obviously hum with some kind of internal power that we need to look into before we move any further. What do we have here? Scrolls of knowledge. Okay. So already, Anya and her scouting party, as they are off to the west to look for a suitable place for us to found a home, have sighted strange creatures that they've never seen before. They look like a mixture of people and cats. They seem to be going about their business just like humans would, but it's just very strange, and it really solidifies and brings the point home that we don't know where we are, and that this world is quite strange and different from anything that we're used to. So to the south, we have what appears to be a sea. Let's send some scouts up to the northeast to see what's over there. Not too much. We have some more ocean. We have another mana node. A lot of mana nodes around here. But as far as we know, they're simply just small mountainous ridges with this eerie blue light coming out of it. Frigoberto here will come to the north. And as he travels north to look for a suitable home, he finds a tent. A strange tent just lying there in the desert. He doesn't see anyone around, so him and his men cautiously go up to check it out. And through some force of the gods that Frigoberto knows not, he's able to see distant lands. Far too distant, though, for him to make any use of that knowledge, and it seems like it's an ocean, so not entirely helpful. What do we have here? Production resources. Alright, so frankly, our fledgling nation does not have a very good place to start to found our home, but we need to do so. So, if nothing else, we're going to want to take control of the gold mine. Unfortunately, it is being guarded by what look to be miniature blue people. So that's very strange. We'll try to communicate with them, but if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to, for the safety of our people and to form our nation, we're going to have to perhaps fight against them. This would include both at first. This would include all three of them eventually. because the cities do grow over time. It's not letting us build there. Or there. Alright. I've ran a few test games, and this is by far the worst starting position, but that'll be fun for us. It'll give us more decisions to make and more role-playing to do. So we're going to call this Aurelia, because Frigoberto, that's where he's from. So we have to make that work. And Aurelia is getting started. So now Frigoberto has to come back and deal with these creatures here, so that the resources of the mine can be put to the benefit of Aurelia. We also need to research a skill. Well, we are new to this land. Authority of the Sword. Forces neighboring lands to submit to the Empire's rule through demonstration of military power. Well, we don't have any military power. We're just a bunch of refugees who found our way through a portal, so that's not something that's going to be very useful to us. Raise militia, on the other hand, will. Let's just say Frigoberto is really good at organizing, and we can put together a force relatively quickly to defend our lives and our home. That seems like a smart move. Okay, get it? Yep. Alright. And Aurelia has started. Our people have unloaded what goods they were carrying on their backs and started building rudimentary homes and farms for themselves. But we do have this threat here of these strange blue beings guarding this gold mine. It's good to know this world has gold anyway. However, they tremble in fear. Now, Frigoberto is new to this world. He doesn't know what's going on, and so he's happy enough just to let them go away. So we're going to let them run. But we now have taken control of the gold mine, so we now have some income for our people. And it looks like it's all that Frigoberto can do. Our scouts will continue to the south. They stumbled upon some additional gold. And further to the south, on a seaside cliff, we find an ancient ruin. Obviously, strange cultures and interesting people lived in this place before we found it, but our scouts spy defenders that seem a little out of our league, so we're going to head on back. Meanwhile, to the west, we have Anya, who's looking around, but she needs to be careful. She's just by herself. What is she finding? She's finding a strange building where the door is the shape of a human skull. And it looks very dangerous. She's going to avoid that. We also found a strange geyser shooting water up into the air. And another gold mine. Apparently this world is just overflowing with gold. There's some fertile plains over there. Alright, so we have our basic area scouted out. Now what's Aurelia going to work on? Well, I think it would be wise for us to get a couple scouts, just to explore even further reaches without our valuable heroes. We have some hardy souls who've spent their life trapping game and running through the forest, and they are really excited, actually, about going to see this new world we have upon us. Okay. Let's get another one. And so our new scout is going to want to go to the northeast. Is that another gold mine? Yes, it is. And what appears to be a giant tower to the east. Meanwhile, our cavalry are going to go back home to defend our village. And Frigoberto, some of the folk have gone missing, and it appears that these flashing lights are the cause. So Frigoberto is going to go and investigate, because certainly we need to keep all of our people safe. And it appears that these creatures are real, first of all, and they apparently aren't going to be running from us. They wish to fight. So, unfortunately, Frigoberto, he's no stranger to war, but lost as he is in this strange world with very few people, he doesn't really want to push it, but Already the men are kind of overawed by this strange blue crystal that's just jutting out of the ground and these flashing lights. They're a superstitious lot. Superstitious. We have some priests who are trying to calm the men, not doing an incredibly good job. We do have some swords masters, Frigoberto's personal guard, and backed up by some archers and more civic guard. Alright, let's creep up on them. Perhaps if we can ambush them, it'll go easier for us. Certainly we don't have the men to lose right now. The priests are going to stay near Frigoberto. We're going to open up another front to the east with our swords masters and our civic guard, backed up by some archers. By the gods, the creatures were able to teleport. Our men were taken unaware. Frigoberto is in danger. They've surrounded him, although they appear to be relatively weak. They haven't done that much harm. Our archers, however, can't move. They're stunned. They're just amazed by these creatures that have jolted them with electrical energy. In fact, some men have already died. Our civic guard. They don't want to engage them in combat. They just want to shoot their crossbows, which were effective. Now, our swords masters, they've seen a lot. They've fought a lot. They've bled a lot. It's going to take a little bit more than a few pixies from children's tales to scare them away. And they were felled. Strangely enough, our priests have found that being close to these weird rocks have given them an ability that they didn't know they had. They're able to channel the energy of the rocks and kind of shoot them out. And amazingly, it worked, and the creatures are obviously taking damage from them. The creatures seem beaten. It's up to Frigoberto to end them. So we have discovered that there are strange threats in this world, strange and mystical things that we have never seen before. But we have also determined that we have the strength to defeat them and to defend our people, and that is what we intend to do. This will be the start of our story, and how it will go, well, you're going to help me with that. So first off, in the comments, I'd like to hear what you think of this whole idea. I'd love to hear any feedback that you have of different questions that I can put to you. But initially, we're all going to have to work together and determine what our priorities are going to be as we start our new nation. Should we focus on expanding our military and perhaps dominating some of the other areas nearby? Should we focus instead on an economy and just getting our town up and running and our people happy? Or should we perhaps think of splitting our forces and sending out a settler to put new lands under our domain? It might be too soon. It might not. We may want to spread out as quickly as possible in order to increase our strength as soon as we can. Who knows? That's up to you guys. So let me know in the comments what you think we should focus on in these initial turns. Once again, I'm Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.